very much welcome to ComfortTV.channel news. My name is Faith Kevin. Thank you for joining us this morning. In the news headlines, INEC tasks journalists to be guided by Electoral Act in Anambra election. Senate clears earpiece of negligence over drug allegations. Federal government dismisses Trump threat, says Nigeria remains calm. Police bust Cameroonian human trafficking syndicate in Ogun. Lagos states to launch digital platform for telecom infrastructure permits in 2026. On business news, Minister of Finance assumes G-24 chairmanship. FAC approves 400 billion naira road projects to boost infrastructure nationwide. On the foreign scene, U.S. Congress proposes visa bans, asset freezes against Miyetti Allah. 6 migrants killed in crash during police chase in Bulgaria. And on sports, Gabriel Niba set for WBC interim heavyweight title showdown in Germany. And Nasarawa United reclaim NPFL top spot. Now the news. The Independent National Electoral Commission INEC has tasked journalists reporting on the Anambra governorship election to be guided by the Electoral Act in their reportage. INEC head of legal department in Anambra, Mrs. Olachi Nwugo, gave the advice in an interview. She stated that the media had an indispensable constitutional role under Section 22 of the 1999 Constitution, serving as the watchdog of society, which was reinforced by the Electoral Act. Ms. Nwugo said it was crucial for the media to understand the interplay between the hard copy form EC8A and the INEC result viewing portal IREB uploaded image. According to her, for the Anambra governorship election, the media is a fundamental partner in maximizing the Act's intended benefits. She noted that the Electoral Act 2022 had provided a robust legal architecture for a transparent and credible election. Mrs. Nwugo disclosed that the deployment of technology, particularly the Bimodal Voter Accreditation System BVAS for accreditation and the IREB for results transfer and verification, has fundamentally altered Nigeria's electoral landscape for the better. The Anambra head of legal department noted that the role of the media as the primary source of information and accountability required a deep knowledge of the legal framework that supported the electoral process. According to her, any media house that prematurely declares a result based on unverified non-IREB data faces a big risk. She therefore advised the media to manage its relevance and at the same time overcome the legal risk associated with Section 60, subsection 5 and 64 of the electoral process. She also advised that the media should be aware of the differences between voided votes, overvoting, margin of lead, and inconclusive elections as defined in the Electoral Act. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Joash Amupitan, expressed deep concerns over what he described as Anambra State's long-standing pattern of voter apathy, warning that it poses a grave threat to the state's democratic progress and the credibility of today's governorship election. At a press conference in Abuja, Professor Amupitan said that while the commission had put in place elaborate logistical and security arrangements for the day's poll, low voter participation remained the single biggest danger to the electoral process. Professor Amupitan described this decline as genuinely worrying, adding that the commission had taken steps to ensure that citizens were not disenfranchised in this year's exercise. He disclosed that following the conclusion of the voter register cleanup, INEC finalized the register on September 4, 2025 and extended the collection of permanent voter cards PVCs from October 29 to November 2 to encourage higher participation. The INEC boss assured that all uncollected cards had been safely retrieved and deposited with the Central Bank of Nigeria until after the election, while revealing inclusion measures for voters with disabilities. On security, Professor Amupitan announced that the Nigerian police force will deploy 45,000 officers supported by 10,250 civil defense personnel and other members of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, ICCES. He added that the commission had also deployed 4 national commissioners and 10 resident electoral commissioners to supervise the election across the state. Professor Amopitan commended the National Peace Committee for its continued intervention and urged Anambra voters to turn out massively today. The Senate has absolved Nigeria's largest airline, Air Peace, of wrongdoing in the July 13 runway overrun incident at the Port Harcourt International Airport, declaring that allegations of drug and alcohol used by its pilots were based on inconsistent and uncoordinated findings by the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau. The move, which followed a high-profile investigative hearing of the Senate Committee on Aviation, comes amid mounting concerns that the NSIB's preliminary report, which initially accuses several Air Peace crew members of testing positive for alcohol and cannabis before later narrowing the claim to 2 personnel, could damage Nigeria's aviation image before global regulators. Speaking after the session, Committee Chairman Senator Abdul Fattah Buhari warned that the discrepancies in the NSIB report risk undermining confidence in Nigeria's air safety rating if not addressed. Senator Buhari, who represents Oyo North, said the Senate's review confirmed that the Air Peace aircraft suffered no damage in the runway excursion and was able to return to Lagos the same day. He commended Air Peace and other domestic carriers for maintaining random drug testing and internal safety protocols, insisting that Nigeria should encourage rather than destroy indigenous airlines. He also disclosed that the Senate may soon introduce legislation mandating federal agencies and government officials to patronize Nigerian airlines as part of efforts to strengthen the local aviation sector. The Senate intervention comes 2 months after widespread public controversy surrounding NSI-based toxicological test claims that co-pilots and cabin crew members involved in the Port Harcourt excursion tested positive for alcohol and THC, claims both individuals have since publicly disputed. The federal government has said it is calm and not in panic following threats of military invasion by the United States President Donald Trump over alleged attacks against Christians in Nigeria, adding that it had opened formal diplomatic channels with the U.S. to address the matter. It also clarified that Nigeria is responding responsibly, strategically, and in line with its constitutional obligation to protect all citizens, regardless of religion or ethnicity. Speaking at the State House Abuja after the Federal Executive Council meeting, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Muhammad Idris, said Nigeria remains a religiously tolerant nation and will continue to uphold the rights of every citizen to practice their faith freely and without fear. The remarks come days after comments by Trump, who threatened military intervention in Nigeria over the alleged killing of Christians. Trump, in a post on his social media platform on Friday, announced that he was labeling Nigeria a country of particular concern. Hours later, he said he had instructed congressional Republicans to immediately look into the matter and report back to him. Responding to whether the U.S. position is affecting governance at home, Alhaji Idris said discussions have already commenced with American officials through appropriate diplomatic channels. He insisted that Nigeria prefers a diplomatic resolution than escalating rhetoric. The minister emphasized that the government is taking the concerns seriously, but urged international partners to recognize the complexities of Nigeria's security environment, including porous borders and transnational threats. While acknowledging the reality of ongoing violence in some regions, Alhaji Idris insisted the President Tinubu administration is not indifferent to the challenges. The Ogun State Police Command said its operatives have dismantled a notorious syndicate of Cameroonian nationals notorious for luring and kidnapping victims under the guise of visa processing. During a raid by the command's anti-kidnapping unit on the syndicate hideout in Moe along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, 2 suspects, Nzanga Kamga Isidore and Tinge Stephen, were arrested, while the principal suspect, Donald, remains at large. Preliminary investigations revealed that victims' family members in Cameroon had paid a ransom of 3,600,000 CFA into the bank account of the fleeing suspect. The spokesperson for the State Police Command, CSP Omola Odutola, disclosed this in a statement made available to journalists. CSP Odutola explained that on 4th November, operatives of the anti-kidnapping unit Elewaran intercepted a distress call from a Cameroonian national, Kengene Miva, who narrated how she had been deceived from Cameroon into Nigeria on 29 September by one Donald M., a fellow Cameroonian who promised to process a Canadian visa for her. The Commissioner of Police, CP Lanre Ogunlo, has ordered continuous monitoring of similar criminal trends across the state. He directed all tactical commanders to engage community stakeholders and Community Development Association chairmen, particularly in remote areas, to report suspicious foreign nationals renting apartments directly to the police without delay. In a move to modernize and streamline the approval process for telecommunication infrastructure projects, the Lagos State government has announced plans to launch the Telecommunication Infrastructure Regulatory System (TIRS) in February 2026. The new platform aims to eliminate nearly all manual procedures involved in permitting for masts, towers, and fiber optic cable right-of-way, ensuring full compliance with state regulations and technical standards. General Manager of the Lagos State Infrastructure Maintenance Regulatory Agency, LASIMRA, Prince Onyekomi Elegushi, revealed that TIRS will significantly enhance transparency and accountability by reducing human interaction in permit processing by approximately 99%. Telecom companies will be able to apply for permits entirely online, drastically reducing the need for physical visits and minimizing delays in approval. To ensure a smooth implementation, LASIMRA has provided comprehensive training for all its departments and units, covering both technical and administrative aspects of the new system. Prince Elegushi emphasized that the platform aligns with Lagos State's broader goal of adopting digital governance and improving public service delivery, while also fostering a more investor-friendly environment for telecom operators. The introduction of TIRS is expected to bolster these oversight efforts, enhancing efficiency in permit approval processes and supporting Lagos' commitment to smarter, safer, and more sustainable telecom infrastructure development. This is ComfortTV, the channel's news. We return shortly with business, foreign, and sports news. Stay tuned. Many thanks for staying with us. This is ComfortTV, the channel news. On to the world of business. Nigeria's Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, has formally assumed the chairmanship of the G-24, announcing that the group will focus on optimizing resource development for inclusive, job-rich economic transformation under his leadership. In a statement, Mr. Edun said the theme reflects all critical forms of resources, human, financial, physical, and natural, needed for sustainable economic progress. Mr. Edun also emphasized the urgent need for correct global financial imbalances, noting that the estimated annual financing gap required to meet the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) stands at a staggering $4 trillion to $5 trillion. The minister further highlighted demographic pressures, warning that about 1.2 billion young people are expected to enter the global labor market over the next 10 to 15 years, competing for only 400 million available jobs. Still on business, the Federal Executive Council, FEC, has approved a sweeping package of road infrastructure projects and reviews valued at over 400 billion naira, signaling a renewed push to modernize Nigeria's transport network and stimulate economic growth. Minister of Works, Senator Dave Umahi, announced the approvals during a briefing with State House correspondents following the FEC meeting, which was presided over by President Bola Tinubu at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Senator Umahi revealed that he presented 11 memos to the Council, 9 focused on reviewing inherited projects and 2 proposing new contract awards. Among the new contracts is the award of Phase 2, Section 2 of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, valued at 43 billion naira. The project aims to address failed portions and complete critical underpasses and ramps along the corridor, which serves as one of Nigeria's busiest transport arteries. The Council also approved the dualization of the Mushin NNPC Junction Apapa Oshodi Expressway in Lagos, with the cost revised from 11 billion naira to 19 billion naira due to updated design and material cost. A major highlight is the construction of Section 3 of the Sokoto-Badagry Superhighway, spanning 162.97 kilometers from Badagry through Ogun State to the Oyo State border. The project is estimated at 3.39 billion naira per kilometer. Minister Umahi reiterated his administration's commitment to concrete-based road construction, citing its durability and long-term cost efficiency. On the foreign scene, a new bill introduced in the United States Congress seeks to impose targeted sanctions on two major herders associations in Nigeria: the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria (MACBAN) and Miyetti Allah Kautal Hor, over allegations of serious violations of religious freedom and attacks on Christian communities in the country. The bill proposes a series of punitive measures, including visa restrictions, asset freezes, and financial sanctions against individuals and entities linked to the two groups. It also called on the U.S. government to intensify diplomatic pressures on the Nigerian authorities to take decisive action against perpetrators of religiously motivated violence. The bill's sponsor, Representative Smith Christopher, emphasized the need for greater accountability and urged Washington to take a stronger stance against what he described as systematic persecution and the Nigerian government's alleged failure to protect vulnerable communities. The development comes shortly after U.S. President Donald Trump redesignated Nigeria as a country of particular concern, CPC, under the International Religious Freedom Act. The redesignation has reignited global debate about Nigeria's handling of sectarian violence, particularly in the Middle Belt and northern regions, where deadly clashes between herders and farmers have persisted for years. If passed, the bill would mark one of the most direct U.S. legislative interventions targeting non-state actors accused of contributing to religious conflict in Nigeria. It could also strain diplomatic relations between both countries, especially as Abuja continues to maintain that the crisis is largely driven by resource competition and not religious motives. Still on the foreign scene, 6 migrants were killed and 4 others injured after their car crashed during a police pursuit near the Black Sea city of Burgas, Bulgaria. According to reports, the Romanian registered Skoda carrying 10 people failed to stop at a police checkpoint and sped off in an attempt to evade capture. The vehicle later lost control and crashed, killing 6 occupants on the spot. The Romanian driver and 3 surviving passengers received medical attention at the scene before being taken to a nearby hospital. Preliminary information suggests the survivors are Afghan nationals. The tragic incident highlights the growing dangers faced by migrants attempting to cross Europe through the Balkans. Since 2015, the region had served as a major transit route for refugees and migrants from the Middle East. Afghanistan, Asia, and Africa, many of whom rely on smuggling networks to reach the European Union in search of safety and better living conditions. Romanian authorities have yet to issue an official statement regarding the crash. Onto the world of sports, undefeated heavyweight contenders Damian Kniba of Poland and Ajit Kabayel of Germany are set to face off for the WBC interim heavyweight title on January 10 in Oberhausen, Germany. Kniba, age 29, enters the bout with a record of 17 wins and 11 knockouts, but is yet to defeat the ranked contender or earn recognition from any of the 4 major sanctioning bodies. His opponent, 33-year-old Kabayel, holds a record of 26 wins with 18 knockouts and has recently secured dominant victories over Arslanbek, Makhmudov, Frank Sanchez, and Zhilei Zhang. Kabayel's recent run of performances has positioned him among the division's top fighters, while Kniba is stepping up in competition after earlier wins against Anzet Warzik and Joey Tedetko. The Polish fighter, who stands at 6 feet 7 inches, has previously sparred with world-class opponents such as Alexander Usyk, Filip Hrgovic, and Daniel Dubois. Analysts expect Kabayel's aggressive body-punching style to test Kniba's reach and endurance. The winner of the January contest will claim the WBC interim title, a position that could lead to a shot at undisputed champion Alexander Usyk, or if the title becomes vacant, promotion to full championship status. Nasarawa United Football Club has bounced back from 2 consecutive losses with a thrilling 2-1 victory over Remo Stars in their matchday 11th fixture of the 2025-2026 Nigerian Professional Football League (NPFL). The match, played at the Lafia Township Stadium on Thursday, saw Nasarawa United's determination pay off as they secured all 3 points. Michael Ibrahim netted the first goal of the match for the visiting team in 5 minutes into the game. But John Joshua equalized for the host, and Joe Frank's Stephanos goal in the 79th minute sealed the win for the Solid Miners. This win marked a significant turnaround for the Nasarawa side, which had previously dropped from the league table. With this victory, Solid Miners returned to the top of the NPFL table with 22 points, while Remo Stars remained in the 17th position with 10 points. And that's our news bulletin this morning. But before we go, a recap of our top stories. INEC tasked journalists to be guided by electoral acts in Anambra election. Senate clears earpiece of negligence over drug allegations. Federal government dismisses storm threat, says Nigeria remains calm. Police bust Cameroonian human trafficking syndicate in Ogun. Lagos State to launch digital platform for telecom infrastructure permits in 2026. On business, Minister of Finance assumes G-24 chairmanship. Foreign U.S. Congress proposes visa bans, asset freezes against Miyetti Allah. And on sports, Kabayal Agniba set for WBC interim heavyweight title showdown in Germany. Thanks for watching. For breaking news, exclusive interviews and more, follow us online at ComfortTV.channel on all platforms. Remember to like and share our videos, subscribe to our channel, click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any updates. My name is Faith Kevin. Until next time, stay informed, stay connected.